And that word aware has been occurring to me a lot in this season. And I don't mean like aware of like discerning his voice for me personally. I mean aware of his mission for the world around me. Am I living aware of the areas his heart longs for? Am I living aware of the opportunities he puts me in proximity to, and he puts me in proximity to be influence in them? Am I living aware of how he's equipped me to serve others like he did? I think that's an awareness that's lost on a lot of us. Jesus was able to minister to the worst of the worst because he lived aware of their value. He lived ready and in the mission. So we too should pattern our lives to be ready, to be able to recognize what God is saying when he's saying it. I think of the scripture in 2 Timothy where Paul is saying, Timothy, listen, be ready to preach the gospel in season and out of season. And I think Jesus modeled this. I am constantly focused on God's heart. I'm constantly focused on why I'm here. I'm constantly focused on the hurting around me. And I think us as Christians need to practice more of that awareness so that when these situations come, we can hit them like they need to be hit. We can speak life into them like they need to be. When we encounter the worst of the worst on the street, we don't make excuses for why we don't minister to them, but we recognize God has a value to them. He has placed me to take care of his servants, and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to make this about me in that second. I understand this $20 in my pocket is for the movie theaters, and if I give it to them, I might not go to the movies. Yeah, we have to be ready to lay that down. We have to be ready to say, I have bread for today, and that's enough. Oftentimes, we are trying to fit God into our self-chosen rhythms of life, and we're waiting to see him recreate these big acts of faith. We grow up hearing these stories of David and Goliath. We grow up hearing these stories of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Noah building an ark, and Moses splitting the Red Sea, and we take those and we love them, and then we try to fit them into our lives. Well, I want to do this, and I'm just praying that God splits the sea so I can go and do this. Well, I want this job, and this person stands in the way, and so I'm praying that God shows up like David and Goliath and just takes this person out so I can do this. And we're praying for these miracles to happen, and we're forgetting that these miracles happened not as a result of David saying, I want to go kill a giant. David just lived aware of what God was doing. The giant was in the way of God's mission. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in Babylon because they were being exiled by God's hand. God was wanting to bring the people of Egypt out so that he could fulfill his promise to Abraham. All these things played a part in God's stories and God's missions, and it was done through people who just lived aware of what God was doing. They didn't seek it out for themselves. They were just the people that said, yeah, I know this is God's nature in the moment. This giant stands in the way of his mission. I'll kill it. I know how God has called me to live, and it's not like the Babylonians. So even though I'm in this situation that I don't necessarily want or desire, I'm going to honor him with what I eat. I'm going to honor him by who I worship. And that's when God shows up. Are you playing into his mission? This is why we have to make room for Jesus in our services. Because if we're not focused on his mission, we lose it all in here. We have to be intentional about keeping Jesus in the vision of our heart and his words as authoritative to our actions so that we can keep on the right mission, so that we don't miss the point of it all.